some of the stories that you tell, because even when you refer to that relationship that you had with the guy in high school was like I think 21. Was that something that your kids knew before you said, "Hey, this story is going to be in here"?
No, they didn't know the details of it. They knew that I had a boyfriend, and it was just something that I didn't really think to share with them, except for now that I'm thinking about it, when Sydel was going through her situation. And it was just like, you know what? I got to tell her. I got to tell her why I'm being this way. That no, she's different than I am. She's a different person, but I want to be protective. Like this is me. So give me some grace. Just got to give me some grace.
Did because you, as you said, you disclosed in there that you terminated a pregnancy, but when you were pregnant with Steph, it was sort of something you thought about again. Did he
Yes.
know that part about it?
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
I had shared it with him. One of the things that, raising our kids, Dell and I had decided that, there were some things we could tell them. We didn't have a lot about our relationship as much, because we always wanted to use situations as teaching opportunities for them. So, we would kind of have to uh, dumb it down a little bit to where, and that might be a negative word to use, but to so that they could understand it at the developmental stage that they were at, but just to also not hide things. I just think sometimes with parents we think we got to hide things, and the kids wanted to know that we're real, and that um, it's not a fairy tale out here, because when you have all that we have and you're in the arenas that we're in, it's kind of hard for them not to think they're in utopia and everything is at their feet, and they're beckoning and all about them. So we tried to deliberately share some things with them.
Well, I think, at least for me, just as a reader, of the many parts I related to is when you take us through the journey of how your relationship, with God and getting saved has been, as being somebody, same ways that you start off as a young person. I had a grandmother made me go to church every every Sunday, and a mother made me go to church. So you're more looking at the ritual of it.
Yes.
And so you talk very honestly about how finding that emotional connection to God, to feeling something and not just ritualistically following it, was, something that happened for you a little bit later as you went through your own sort of emotional journey. So,
Mhm.
in writing about that part of it, developing this emotional connection with God, while you go through certain moments and times, was it was it one thing, or was it just a collection of things that kind of led you to believe that now is the time where I want to deepen and further this connection?
I think it was an accumulation of just my life at the time. I was a young mom. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Um, Young mom, just trying to figure out how to be a mom. I always knew I was going to be a young mom. That was just something that was in me. But getting married, being in the NBA, trying to manage, how am I going to be a wife? How am I going to be a wife of an NBA player? How am I going to manage that scene? To I've got 3 kids, and honestly, just growing up, I was just finding ways to just kind of be Sonya. I always was struggling with, how do I hold on to Sonya in the midst of all of this stuff going on? And so finding things in the world that, hanging out, clubbing, doing, and I got 3 kids. And then, you know, our relationship went through some challenges, then being young, Dell's trying to figure out being young, being in the NBA. And so at a certain point, it's like, these things aren't working. These things aren't satisfying me. And, I'm going to end up doing something really crazy. And it just like, God just wouldn't just let me go. Like he just kept saying, I'm here, just whispering, I'm here. When you're done with all that other stuff, I'm here. And so it was just one day at church. I was just sitting there, and the sermons are, the pastor just seems like he's just talking to you. There could be 10,000 people in the room, and he's like, you. And he just talked about, if you're tired of doing the same old, just give Jesus a try. Just try. And I just got up, went to the front, and it was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want this anymore. So Lord, I'm going to try you. You've said all that you are, and let's see, I'm going to go for it. And so, yeah, it was just like all the worldly things just weren't working.
It seemed like, based off what you were describing in your book, is that you were almost going through some level of depression. Is that fair to characterize it that way?
At that moment, with getting saved, I wasn't. There was a period when, after I had retired from school, my school, Sydel had transitioned, graduated, and it was just like, oh Lord, now what? I literally did, and didn't even know, because we don't talk about those kinds of things. And especially as women, because I don't think we give ourselves the grace to be depressed, because we got things to do. We got people to take care of. And so, yeah, I would find myself on days just riding to go to the grocery store, and would leave and sit in the parking lot. And I'm like, well, why am I still sitting here? Go in the grocery store. And it's 45 minutes have gone by, and I'm just sitting there. And so I went to the doctor, and he was just like, yeah, tell me, what's going on. And he was like, do you ever think that you're depressed? And I was like, absolutely not. How dare you? No. And he just sat there with me, and then I just bawled. And yeah, it was just a release of the fact that, they say there's 7 things in your life you go through that are really, really tough and life altering. And one of them is retirement. And so I was like, wow, you're right. I gotta figure this thing out. So
Although you went through, I mean, a couple different types of transitions. I mean, obviously, transition, as you just mentioned, into being an MBA wife, then balancing young motherhood with, starting this Montessori school and going through that part of it. And of course, your kids growing up and getting older and developing their own professional lives. Why do you think that transition, it seemed like that one was maybe the more difficult one?
because that was an end to something. The other things were, I'm working towards things. I'm starting my school. I'm having children, and I'm a doer. I'm getting this stuff done. And then when the school ended, and then Sadel's graduating, it's like, I don't have another to do thing. I don't have another project. Lord, what am I going to do now? What is going to be my purpose now? And you know, I think I was in my 40s then. Yeah, had to be in my 40s. I was in my 40s then, and a little bit of that midlife crisis coming in, and you know, um, no more children in the house. Dell and I figuring out this thing as well, of just the silence in the house. And we had grandbabies coming, but they got their own stuff that's with that. So yeah, it was just, Sonya, what's going to be your next purpose and mission and project. So it was an end of something versus the beginning of something, I would say.
Uh, what feedback have your kids given you about Fierce Love?
Well, start with Stefan. I mean, he's just an ultimate cheerleader. He's just like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. And then, you know, he laughs about the stories in there, and I won't tell his business, but the one with the girl with the girl that
Yeah,
I didn't
with the
want.
girl
Yeah.
that you didn't
And
like.
he's like, Mama, I have a little like truth to tell. I kind of like reconnected with her after. And I was like, what? I was like, I will kill you. And we just laugh, it's just, he's like, oh, I like kind of reminiscing about things. Seth says he doesn't remember a daggone thing that I put in the book. I'm like, that's him. And except for him not being able to play in that tournament because he was like, I messed up his recruiting. So yeah, it's all about, the basketball part. And Sydel just, again, she is just so like supportive and mom. Because usually when I get scared, here's this word again, a fear. She's there cheering me on and helping me talk through, Mom, it's going to be okay. Like, people are going to benefit from your stories, and don't shrink back. Um, and it's so crazy because people look at us and think, why would she like, why would she even doubt herself or think she's shrinking back? Because people see us so much in the, news and at games and in the stands, but that's me just enjoying my kids playing and the sport. But I'm really a quiet person. And so she's always there encouraging me to just keep going as a woman. So she's been so helpful this last year and a half. Um, and she loves the stories too.